My brother looked at me as if I were a stranger. Stand near the wall. For a moment, I thought I had misheard him. The music from the ballroom floated behind us. Waiters carried trays of champagne through the crowded reception hall. Guests were laughing, taking photographs, and congratulating the newly married couple. And I was standing in front of my own brother, wondering how the little boy I had once carried home from school had become a man who could look me in the eyes and tell me I didn't deserve a chair. "Where's my seat?" I asked again. My brother, Ethan, glanced toward the table. "You don't have one." I stared at him. "What?" "We needed the space." "For whom?" He pointed toward a group of guests. "Emma's relatives." I looked at the table. There were 12 chairs. 13 people had originally been assigned to it. My name card had been removed. In its place was another card. I picked it up. Someone had written a different name over mine. I looked back at Ethan. "You replaced me?" He sighed. "Don't make this dramatic. It's your wedding." "Exactly." His voice dropped. "I don't need you creating problems today." I almost laughed. "Creating problems?" "You know what I mean." "No, I don't." He looked irritated. "You've been acting like this whole wedding is about you." I stared at him. I had spent 3 months helping him plan the wedding. 3 months. When the venue demanded a deposit he couldn't afford, I paid it. When his credit card was declined while ordering decorations, I used mine. When the photographer threatened to cancel because the final installment was late, I transferred the money. When Grandma needed transportation, I arranged it. When Ethan called me at 2 in the morning because the florist had canceled, I found another one. When his suit didn't fit properly, I drove across town to pick up the replacement. I had done all of it quietly. I hadn't asked for praise. I hadn't asked for my name on the invitations in bigger letters. I hadn't asked him to thank me. I only wanted to be there. As his sister. As family. But now he was telling me to stand against a wall. I looked around. My parents weren't there. They had died years earlier. After their deaths, Ethan had been only 19. I was 26. I became the person who made sure he finished college. I helped him get his first apartment. I paid his electricity bill when he lost his job. I taught him how to cook more than 3 meals. I helped him through his first breakup. When he met Emma, I was happy for him. When he proposed, I cried. I thought we were close. Apparently, I had imagined that. "Ethan," I said quietly, "did you ask me to stand there because I'm embarrassing you?" He looked away. "Just for the reception." "Why?" "Because Emma's family wants that table." I glanced at Emma. She stood near the dance floor in her wedding dress. She saw me. Our eyes met. I waited for her to say something. She didn't. She turned away. That hurt more than anything Ethan had said. I nodded slowly. "Okay." Ethan looked relieved. "Thank you." I walked toward the wall. The ballroom was enormous. There were flowers everywhere. White roses, gold ribbons, crystal decorations. A giant photograph of Ethan and Emma stood near the entrance. Everyone had a seat. Everyone except me. A waiter approached. "Ma'am, would you like me to find you a chair?" I smiled. "No, thank you." "Are you sure?" "Yes." He looked uncomfortable. "I'm fine." I stood against the wall. A few minutes later, the wedding reception officially began. The DJ announced the newlyweds. Everyone applauded. I applauded too. I watched Ethan dance with Emma. Then Emma danced with her father. Then Ethan danced with his mother-in-law. Then the speeches began. Emma's father spoke about how proud he was. Her mother cried. Her cousins joked. Then Ethan's best friend stood up. He talked about how Ethan had built everything himself. I almost laughed. Built everything himself? I looked down at my hands. The same hands that had signed his tuition checks. The same hands that had paid the venue deposit. The same hands that had spent months fixing problems he didn't even know existed. But I stayed silent. This was his wedding. I wasn't going to ruin it. Then the wedding coordinator walked over. "Excuse me." "Yes." "Can I speak with you privately?" "Sure." She led me into the hallway. "I'm sorry." "For what?" She looked embarrassed. "Your brother gave us specific instructions." "What instructions?" "Not to include you in the seating arrangement." I nodded. "I know. He said you would be leaving after the ceremony." I stared at her. "He told you that?" "Yes." I laughed quietly. "Of course." She looked at me. "Would you like me to arrange a private table?" "No." "Why?" "Because I don't want one." She hesitated. "Are you sure?" I nodded. "Yes." I walked back toward the ballroom. Ethan was standing near the cake table. I approached him. "Can I ask you something?" He looked annoyed. "What?" "Did you tell the coordinator I was leaving after the ceremony?" He froze. I was trying to avoid confusion. Why? Because you don't have a seat. I nodded. Right. He lowered his voice. Please don't do this today. Do what? Make me feel guilty. I stared at him. I'm not making you feel anything. He sighed. You've always been too sensitive. Something inside me went quiet. I realized I had been trying to save a relationship that he had already abandoned. I looked at him. Okay. What? I'm done. His expression changed. Done with what? Everything. He frowned. I reached into my purse and pulled out a folder. What is that? The venue contract. His face changed. Why do you have that? Because I paid the venue. So I am the person financially responsible for the remaining services. He stared at me. You wouldn't. I opened the folder. I just canceled the additional services that haven't been delivered. His face went pale. The photographer? Paid for. The catering? Already covered. The decorations? Already installed. The honeymoon transportation? Canceled. The villa? Canceled. He stared at me. You can't do that. I can. But why? I looked around the ballroom. Because you made it very clear that I don't belong here. He shook his head. You're trying to punish me. No. I closed the folder. I'm simply taking back control of things I paid for. His voice became angry. You've always used money against me. I stared at him. Have I? Yes. Tell me one time. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. One time, Ethan. Silence. When did I ever use money to control you? He looked away. I continued. I paid your tuition. That was family. I paid your rent. I was struggling. I paid your medical bills. You offered. I paid the deposit for this wedding. You wanted to help. I nodded. Exactly. I looked at him. I wanted to help. My voice cracked. That's all I ever wanted. For a moment, he looked guilty. Then his expression hardened again. You're ruining my wedding. I shook my head. No. I stepped back. I'm not ruining anything. I looked at the beautiful ballroom. I'm leaving. He grabbed my wrist. I immediately pulled away. Don't touch me. He froze. I lowered my voice. You don't get to humiliate me and then expect me to keep smiling for photographs. His eyes filled with frustration. You'll regret this. I looked at him. No. I smiled sadly. I think I've regretted staying too long. I turned toward the exit. Then I stopped. There was one more thing he didn't know. I reached into my purse and pulled out my phone. On the screen was an email. The subject line read, Payment authorization confirmed. I looked at Ethan. The venue deposit you thought was non-refundable? He stared. What about it? I paid it. I know. You don't anymore. His face went blank. I walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard him whisper my name. I didn't turn around. For the first time in years, I wasn't going to rescue him. I wasn't going to fix the problem. I wasn't going to beg for a seat. I was simply going to walk away. And as the ballroom doors closed behind me, I realized something. He had told me to stand near the wall. So I did. But he had forgotten one important thing. Walls can also be doors. And I had finally found mine. My brother followed me into the hallway. What else did you take back? I stopped walking. Nothing. He stared at me. You're lying. No. You canceled the honeymoon transportation. Yes. The villa. Yes. The photographer? Already paid. He shook his head. You're unbelievable. I turned around. No, Ethan. I'm finally believing you. He looked confused. What does that mean? It means I finally believe you when you say I don't belong in your life. His expression changed. I never said that. You didn't have to. I pointed toward the ballroom. You removed my seat. That wasn't personal. You told me to stand near a wall. I was stressed. You told the coordinator I would leave after the ceremony. I was trying to avoid drama. You knew I had spent months helping you. He said nothing. And you still chose to humiliate me. His jaw tightened. I didn't humiliate you. I laughed softly. Then what would you call it? He looked away. I could hear music coming from the ballroom. People were laughing. Nobody knew that the groom was standing in the hallway arguing with the sister who had helped pay for his wedding. Then Ethan said something that stopped me. You always want to be needed. I stared at him. What? You heard me. Explain. You've always acted like I couldn't survive without you. I felt something break inside me. I never thought that. Yes, you did. No. I shook my head. I thought you were my little brother. His eyes dropped. And I loved you. He swallowed. I still do. I nodded. But loving someone doesn't mean allowing them to disrespect you. He looked toward the ballroom. What do you want me to do? Nothing. Then why are you doing this? I'm not doing anything. I held up my phone. You've already made your choice. He looked at the screen. What's that? The account for the venue. I showed him the payment history. Every transfer. Every invoice. Every payment. His face changed. You paid all that. Most of it. How much? $47,620. He stared at the number. I didn't know. I know. You never told me. You never asked. He looked ashamed. I was going to pay you back. Maybe. I was. I believe you. He looked surprised. Then why are you doing this? Because today wasn't about money. I put my phone away. It was about respect. He didn't answer. I continued. You could have told me there wasn't enough space. You could have asked me to sit somewhere else. You could have explained. But you chose to make me stand against a wall. His eyes filled with tears. I was under pressure. So was I. He looked at me. You don't understand what Emma's family has been like. Then you should have told me. I was embarrassed. About what? They think I'm dependent on you. I froze. So you humiliated me to prove you weren't. He didn't answer. I nodded slowly. That explains everything. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. He wiped his face. I wanted them to respect me. And did they? He looked toward the ballroom. No. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Then I remembered standing alone against the wall. I walked away. He followed. Wait. I stopped. What? Please don't leave. I looked at him. Why? Because you're my sister. Then why did you treat me like a stranger? He couldn't answer. For several seconds, we stood there. Then Emma appeared. Her wedding dress brushed the floor as she walked toward us. She looked at Ethan. What happened? He didn't answer. I did. Ask your husband. Emma looked confused. Ethan. He finally spoke. I told her to stand near the wall. Emma's face changed. You did what? I needed the table. You could have given her my seat. Emma looked at me. I'm sorry. I nodded.